Welcome to Inspire, the Angel Flores podcast, where you'll be inspired, equipped, and entertained.
Thank you, Monica, for being here and for sharing your story. So let's start out with your backstory, born and raised, that kind of stuff.
Okay. My name is Monica Ramirez, and I grew up, born and raised in Lakewood, Colorado. And I'd say raised in Lakewood, but I went to Catholic schools, so that took me across town. So I went to Notre Dame, which was in Lakewood, and then I went to Holy Family, which was in North Denver. So I learned public transportation very well.
So you rode the bus, this public RTD bus every day?
Yeah.
All right.
Every day to Holy Family. So that was
how long was the
commute?
Yeah.
Gee, I don't remember. I remember getting up really early. I'd have to walk a mile to the first bus stop and then a mile from the last bus stop. So it was quite a ways. Yeah.
And your parents, this was important to them. So
Yes. It was important that I went to Catholic schools. So, but after school, as I got to know the bus system a little bit more, my friends and I would go downtown and watch the dancers. What was it in the 80s? Jeez.
breakdancing?
The break dancers, yeah.
Oh, shoot. You'd go downtown Denver and watch breakdancers?
Yeah.
Just hang out. And how old were you at this time?
15.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so siblings?
I have one brother, and I have a few other siblings from my mom and a few others from my dad.
Okay. So your mom and dad each had previous families?
Yeah.
Blended family?
Yes.
And then had you and your brother together?
Yes.
All right.
Yep. I just met my dad's children a couple years ago. So we've gotten pretty close with them. We see each other every other month. Cool. In fact, a couple of the sisters came over Monday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and came to spend some time with me. And
how did you guys find it? Was it ancestry or did you just through family? And
no, it was me. I because of the cancer that I have, I figured, why not? So
just try and see.
Yeah, if they don't want to see me, that's okay. If they do, icing on the cake.
Cool.
So my brother and I are pretty much the only tight ones together. So I just didn't want him to be without any siblings once the time comes.
Whenever that is. Yeah.
Whenever that is.
Right. Yeah. It's a good thing to think about no matter where you're at in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, okay. So high school, Catholic high school, nuns, priests, all of it. All right.
Yeah.
And then what?
Then I thought that the guidance counselor at school, I don't know who doesn't think this, but I thought they were going to tell me what I was going to be when I grew up.
But they're going to guide you?
They were going to guide me. Yes. So and unfortunately it wasn't until my senior year in high school that I was asked, what are you going to do when you grow up? And
what did you think you were going to do?
What did I think? Yeah.
Like had you had to have given a little bit of thought to it. What
Right.
were you thinking?
That's nothing. I was thinking
graduate.
I was going to be a fly girl on
in Living Color.
On Living Color, yeah. And dance with J-Lo, and that's what I thought. But not the case.
Okay.
So it gave me something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And so since I had no idea,
What did your parents do?
my mom was a hairstylist.
Okay.
So was my dad.
Okay.
My dad was also a musician. And so he grew up playing in bands in Pueblo and in Denver. And so his side gig was being a barber. And then it flip-flopped to his side gig was playing in the bands. And so he became a Christian and just stopped playing in the bands, stopped drinking and doing all that. But my mom...
How old were you when that happened?
I was probably about 12.
What kind of music did he play?
Like 50s music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did he start playing in church or he just stopped playing?
No. He just stopped playing. No, actually, he did. Once he became a Christian, he started playing on his worship team at church.
Cool.
Yeah, but that was not until he was a lot older.
So when you were growing up, you thought, I'm probably not going to be a musician, probably not going to do hair.
Right.
I'll be a fly girl, or let's see what happens. Okay.
Right.
So your guidance counselor said, hey, let's talk about what are you going to do after May? What are you going to
do? So I had no idea. And I thought, well, everyone thinks you get all this discipline in Catholic schools. But honestly, I didn't. I didn't, not really. And so I ditched and I got okay grades and did things I probably shouldn't have been doing. And I knew one thing I needed was discipline.
Okay.
So I didn't get it at home. My mom and dad got divorced when I was about 3. And my mom remarried and still no discipline. I learned how to take the bus. I'd go anywhere, all over Denver, and just
nobody really keeping track of you, or
no one keeping track of me. All I knew is I had to graduate, so I had to do enough to graduate, and I knew I wanted to go to college, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I knew that going into the military would bring a lot of discipline. So I walked into the...
I can't imagine an 18-year-old saying, you know what I need? Discipline. But we life without boundaries is not what people think it is.
No.
And so we crave structure. Even when we don't kids don't know they want it, but they want it. You're a perfect example of that. You knew that you needed that. Just riding the buses and hanging out and whatever was not going to end up anywhere good.
Right.
So
small bits of discipline I learned. If you're not there when the bus comes, you're walking.
Right. Yeah. So you had to be there. Yeah.
If you didn't have your dimes on you, enough money for the fare, or if you lost your transfer ticket, you're walking. And if I found myself in Aurora, that's a long walk to Lakewood.
Yeah. There's no Uber back then.
Right.
So then who'd you talk to? What branch?
I went to the Air Force.
Okay.
And they asked me if I had, the first thing they asked me if I did drugs. And I said, well, who hasn't ever tried drugs? Wrong answer. Wrong answer. And so they said, why don't you go to the Navy around the corner? I left almost crying because I don't know how to swim. So I didn't tell any of my friends or my mom or anything. And so I did. I went back and I went to the Navy. And gosh, all I had to have done was go to a different Air Force recruiter.
Yeah.
And lie. Sorry, Sister Teresa.
Sister Teresa, if you're still out there. We're sorry about a lot of things.
Yeah. But I went into the Navy and raised my hand and said, yeah, I want to go. And then I went home and told my mom I joined the Navy. And she was not happy. But what could she say? I'm my own woman, and I knew what I needed to do for my life. So I did all the testing and everything I needed to do to join, and I knew they were going to tell me what I was going to do when I grew up. Mm-hmm. They pretty much did. They told me what I was going to do, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun, but when I look back, it was truly an adventure. What was boot camp like? I actually liked boot camp because I worked out. I guess with all the walking and missing the buses
and all the fly girl dancing.
Yeah, and all the dancing. I loved to dance, so I just if you got in trouble, it's like get down and give me 20, and it's no problem. And so I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Where'd you go?
I went to Florida. So getting on the plane for the first time, and that was already an adventure. Meeting
being
girls.
In humidity for the first time, and a whole different. Really it's all hot. Different. Yeah.
I met girls from all over all over the United States, and the diversity of it all.
Yeah.
Not everyone was Catholic. Not everyone was brown. Not everyone was white.
Yeah.
It was nice.
You were a little novelty, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, in a whole room full of diversity, there's still some novelty in being a Hispanic girl from Colorado.
Right. I did know that I better learn how to ski because I knew I was going to meet people from everywhere. Mm-hmm. And they were going to either ask if I ride horses or if I knew how to ski. So
Isn't that funny when you're from Colorado? Do you ski? No. No. I've skied twice in my life. Yeah, and I hated it.
Right.
But anyway.
I went once so I could say yes.
Yeah, I ski some. So what was your job what was your job in the Navy?
It was called a yeoman. So administrative. And it was where I learned how to use a computer. And when computers first came out.
Yeah. It's a black screen with an orange or green text on it. Yeah.
Right. Where's the power button? That was my first challenge. Yeah, it was.
Where were you stationed?
San Diego.
Okay.
So my brother and my mom were excited because they got to think about, where are we going to go on vacation?
San Diego.
Yeah. It was really nice. It was really, really beautiful. I was stationed at the explosive ordnance disposal.
Okay.
So that's where they trained divers and sea lions and dolphins to dive together and find bombs underneath the water and learn how to defuse them.
I've never heard of this. So they trained dolphins and sea lions to find bombs. Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a lot of questions. How do they, so they need to take a sea lion to Korea to look at bombs. So they carry sea lions in ships with them? Or
that I don't know.
Or they just do it there in port? I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. Those answers I do not have for you because I wasn't a diver.
Classified?
Pretty much. The only thing I got to do was everyone had duty. Mm-hmm. So my duty was feeding them. So I'd go out there and
so they're in tanks or cages or something.
So my the place I worked was off on the bay. So you can see the Coronado Bridge right there. Yeah. And you can see the ships on the other side on they call it 32nd Street over on the San Diego side. So where you can see all the ships. And then you can also on my side is where they trained the SEALs. the
Navy SEALs.
Navy SEALs. Yeah.
Wow. And your job was feeding the sea
Feeding them.
lions and
Yeah.
the dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have guessed a girl from Lakewood? Okay, so fast forward a little bit. How did you meet your hubby?
Oh, okay. So, I got out of the Navy,
Okay, finished.
right? It was during Desert Storm.
Okay.
So I was told either to become a hull technician, which is fixing toilets on a ship, or get out. And so I said, I'm out.
It's an easy decision, yeah.
Yeah. And by then I was already a single mom.
Okay.
And I figured
You got pregnant in the Navy.
I got pregnant in the Navy.
All right.
Met a Navy SEAL. And the relationship didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just a lot of absence. He was gone across country all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter Alex and I said, we're going to go back to Colorado. I said, I'm going to go to college.
GI Bill, yeah.
GI Bill was going to help me out. And I wanted to become a paralegal.
Okay.
And so I got out, and her and I packed up and moved back to Colorado. And I went to the community college at Denver.
Okay. So you went back to Lakewood?
Went back downtown.
Okay.
Yeah. And they had a daycare there on campus, at our area campus. So I went to Metro. I went to community college at Denver, and then I went to the CU Denver. I went to every college there on campus. So by the time I'm there at CU at Denver, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I've been a paralegal. I'm going to start taking classes where maybe I'd be a lawyer. Who knows?
Okay.
So
you got what did you get? An associate's, bachelor's?
I got an associate's.
Okay.
And I got my paralegal certificate.
Okay. Cool.
And
as a single mom.
As a single mom.
Shout out to the single moms. Yeah. It's not.
And then
How old was Alex at this time?
She was 4.
Okay.
So I decided, actually, I left the Navy, and it took about 2 weeks to realize I still liked the discipline and the money. So I joined the Navy Reserves.
Okay.
And over at Buckley is where I met Paul. Paul was in the Air National Guard.
Okay.
And so he spent his 2 weeks a year, every other weekend a month, 2 weeks a year over at Buckley.
Okay.
And I spent my time over there on the other side of the base with the Navy Reserves.
Okay.
And so it was my best friend's birthday, and we always go to the club for her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
By then, when I was active duty Navy, I used to drink and probably again still didn't do what I was supposed to be doing. But I went with her just once a year to the base, and that's where I met Paul.
They had a nightclub on the base?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not there anymore, actually. So, but it was like, if you can imagine Top Gun, it was just like that. Just like that.
You've lost that love and feeling?
Yeah.
So if you guys, those that are listening, watching, if you've never been on a military base, it's like a little city of its own. It's completely self-contained. There's a grocery store. It's like a Walmart. There's doctors. There's gym, rec center, parks. People live there. It's everything, right? It's like it's its own little. I didn't know they had bars, but yeah, so own everything.
This base doesn't have a movie theater nor bowling alley, but a lot of them do.
Yeah, so it's you don't ever have to leave the base if you don't want to.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, your kids are safe.
Yeah.
You can leave your door unlocked.
Yeah.
They even have base police.
So it's and you have to have a reason to be there. You can't just drive in and go hang out.
No, you have to have a ID. Military ID.
I remember we lived across the street from an Air Force base in South Carolina, Sumter, South Carolina, Shaw Air Force Base. And you drive down the street in the summer and people would have their doors wide open, pumping the AC and didn't care because the government's paid for their bills.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. AC pumping in the middle of summer and doors are wide open. Anyway, trying to cool down the city. Cool. So then you guys meet.
Right.
And what?
So we meet. Actually, it was Paul might get mad at this one, but it was cute because we saw each other 1 year.
Okay.
For my friend's birthday. And I thought he had the sweetest smile. And we didn't meet.
You just saw him.
I just saw him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year, my friend's birthday, because I only went for her birthday, I saw him again and he was staring at me. And so I asked my friend, do you know that guy right there? He's like totally staring at us. Like he's watching me tell you, look at him. He's staring at us. And she said, no, I don't know who that is. That's
so a couple of things we learned about Paul. He was at the bar every day. And he was creepy. All right.
And then I didn't meet him and he disappeared. So I became less shy the older I got.
Okay.
And so I went over to his friend and said, hey, where's your friend?
Where's your friend, Muva?
Yeah. And he said, oh, he was looking for you. He was trying to chase you down or something. And I'm like, I went to the bathroom and he got up and went this way and we did a whole full circle. And so he thought I must have left. So he left and it was funny. But anyway, we, his friend and I got to talking and he gave me his pager number.
Oh, shoot. His pager.
Yeah. So
if you were born after 1990, a pager, imagine a cell phone that all it did is vibrate and show you a phone number. That's a pager.
I got his pager number. So
you paged him?
I paged him. And he called and said, I'd love to meet you, but I'm going on a vacation to Mexico with my parents. Right. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
And so we ended up meeting again and I kind of didn't believe he was going on a vacation with his parents.
Yeah.
By then you're in your mid-20s. Who does that? But he did. And so we finally went on a date. And we went to Denny's out to eat. And I told him I was a single mom. And then I said, I have just one question for you. Because I'm a single mom, I don't mess around. Do you have a girlfriend? And he kind of sunk in his seat and he said, yes, I do.
Paul.
I said, take me home and never call me again. So. Did
you finish your Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity or
I did. He was paying for it.
Yeah.
So.
Order dessert.
So he took me home and he walked to his car with his head down. And then I saw him again because I had been in the Navy Reserves about 6 years.
Okay.
So each time on my friend's birthday, we go to the club.
So we're 3 years into it now.
Yeah. And he knew by then that I would be there. By then, I was dating someone else and I had invited my boyfriend to come to we were having a party this time for my friend for her birthday. So he didn't approach me. He didn't talk to me. And then the following year, it took a while.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. For us
I've never heard this.
Finally hook up. And so he said he's not.
So the stars aligned. He was
yes, everything was.
He was single. You were single.
Yes. And
ready to mingle.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys how long did you guys date?
2 months.
Oh.
2 months.
It was a 4-year courtship, sort of. So
yeah, and he said, I'm ready for marriage. And I think really honestly, we were more ready for marriage than we knew each other. So looking back, it was a mistake.
Too short, yeah.
Yeah, it was too short.
So those of you joining us, listening, Monica does the premarital counseling here at Mosaic Church. So she does this pretty incredible online assessment, and then kind of shows where you're at in terms of compatibility and what areas need work. And so I imagine if you would have done that on you guys back then, there probably would have been a few red flags.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard no.
That's Ben in the sound booth. Okay, so you guys got married.
We got married.
Barely knew each other.
I told him.
And instant family.
Instant family, yeah.
Alex is now how old? 6 or 7?
She was 6, 5, 6. Yeah.
Okay. And so she's, boom, instant family.
Right.
And
yeah, I have all my years mixed up.
That's all right. Yeah. So Paul is a dad.
Right.
Away.
And he was ready for it. He fell in love with Alex. And it was funny because everyone thought that she was actually his daughter and that I was coming into the family.
Interesting. Wow. Because of the way they interacted and just.
Well, because she has red hair and like complexion, and I don't, but neither does he. So I guess you would have figured maybe most people would think, oh, Paul was dating a redheaded woman more than I was dating a redhead male, you know?
Right, yeah.
But her birth father doesn't have red hair either. So
somewhere up the line, yeah. Interesting.
Funny.
So then you guys got married, moved to Greeley?
I moved to Greeley because Paul's dad is a builder. He built him a house. So while we were dating, he said, let me show you how I can take care of you. I've got a house. I'm a teacher. I'm a college graduate. I'm ready. I'm ready to settle down. I don't have a girlfriend. Ask my mama. And he was very close. Still is to this day. Very close to his family, very close to his mom. And so that's what I wanted, somebody who was close to his mom. And I always wanted a boy from a small town because I figured, they were just not wild or...
Riding the buses all over Denver.
Riding the buses all over Denver. And I think he really wanted somebody from a big city because he didn't have to worry so much about me being independent or doing things on my own or wanting a job or anything like that.
Interesting. So then you guys got married, started having...
Well, we got pregnant right away too.
Okay.
So my sister-in-law beat us to it. She got pregnant the night we got married, or the day we got married, that night, I guess it was that night. But then, we got married in February of 89. And then we had Bella in January. So, it wasn't too long afterward. And then
89? 90.
No, 90. Oh, no. See, I am wrong with the years because
I was like 89. She's
graduated in 87. So, and from high school. No, it was 98.
98.
Got married. Okay. Yeah. Bella was, born in 99. Sorry. Okay. Now we're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then Bella. And
then 4 years later, we had Santi.
Okay.
Yeah. My son.
Right. And you're working still in the reserves.
So I actually left the reserves when I was pregnant with Bella.
Okay.
because that commute from Greeley to Aurora and having morning sickness, I would come home and Paul was just so sweet and awesome. Uniform and all. We had, because Paul's dad's a builder and he built us a beautiful house. So we have a sinking tub, or however you call it, just a nice big tub. And he would just pour cold water and dump me in it, uniform and all, because I just couldn't handle the nausea. And it was really bad to where I had to go to the military. I mean, to the hospital. So I decided I'm just not. I just can't do it anymore. And I felt like a failure. You know, I had already been in almost 10 years altogether. So Paul said, well, Paul and my cousin, who also was in the Air National Guard. By this time, Paul's in Greeley Air National Guard. So he wasn't going to Aurora anymore, not to Buckley. And so my cousin, who's in the Greeley Air National Guard, and Paul talked me into joining the Air National Guard. So I did. A few months later, after I had Bella, I was in the Guard. And then not too much longer, there was a position, an active duty position opening up. And so I took that position. And that one was similar to being a yeoman in the military, in the Navy, but it's called a personnelman. So again, administrative kind of work.
Okay. So you went back full time in the military, but you're at the Greeley Air National Guard.
Right. And I stayed there 12 years.
All right. So your kids are now growing up, getting older. Paul is teaching. Now he's an electrician. Got his master's. Right. I remember that.
Yeah.
And you got your master's.
Yes. Paul also had left teaching. And took on a civil service job over at the Greeley Air National Guard because he was able to get his commissioning and become an officer there.
Oh, okay.
So he was still in the Guard, which is a weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. But now he's a lieutenant and working as a GS 11, which was pretty good pay for our little family. So, and then I joined active duty and we were doing really well.
Okay.
We were both getting our master's degrees and just at the height of our family as far as
everything is up and to the right, going well.
Going to church.
Yes. Found our church.
Yeah. Found our church at Mosaic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alex by then was, met Marissa in high school.
I love the story. I love to share it. So Alex and my daughter, Marissa, were best friends growing up. Four girls that were all really close. And so when we started Mosaic, Alex started coming and with Marissa. They were in high school, maybe like sophomores in high school, something like that. It was 2007, 2008. And Paul came to check out the church to make sure we weren't running a cult. and the Ramirez stuck and have been with us since. So that's 14, almost 15 years. Something like Mosaic will be 15 this September. So, okay. So then life is good. Things are going well.
Life is good.
And then you got a stomachache. Let's talk about that.
Okay. Okay. In 2018. November. By this time, I've retired.
Okay.
I've retired as a senior master sergeant. I never even thought I would get that high in the military, and I did. And I was just.
Did Paul have to salute you?
No, it was the other way around.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. But I didn't.
Did you ever salute?
No.
You're like, I'll get court-martialed.
Yeah.
Before I salute.
That's right. Although I do have utmost respect for my husband.
Mm-hmm.
He's the smartest guy I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I retired. He retired before me. I stuck it out 28 years completely. It was all said and done. And I didn't know what I was going to do when I retired.
Mm-hmm.
I had 3 months of paid leave. And the whole time, all I worried about was, where am I going to go work to make as much money as I did? And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And Paul told me, just apply everywhere. So I got a job at the Guadalupe shelter.
Right, the homeless shelter here in Greece, Catholic homeless shelter.
Yeah. Which didn't pay at all.
Right, nonprofit.
Nonprofit. Didn't pay much at all. Probably one of the best jobs I will always treasure forever. I loved that job. I loved that job so much. Until November of 2018, I started feeling like I had the flu. And I would call into work a little bit. And then December, it wasn't like it ever really went away. December, same thing. Like, wow, this flu,
It's kicking my butt. Yeah.
Yeah. I never went to the doctor. January, I went to the doctor finally. And my doctor wasn't there. So I talked to the physician's assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, you are kind of getting up there in age. I was 49 at the time.
That hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. I even got the ARP information in the mail. And I said, I'm not 50 yet. So, but she said, just take some Metamucil and that'll probably help your
digestive stuff. And
yeah. So I was kind of relieved because I thought maybe it was something worse, because who has the flu for 3 months?
Right. Yeah.
So
she says, I think you're just kind of blocked up.
She didn't say, let's go get any blood work done, any CAT scans, none of that. So I said, okay. And by then now, I wouldn't say I'm a professional skier, but the family would go about once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Alex learned how to snowboard, and Bella learned how to ski. Santi learned how to ski. So we go as a family.
Mm-hmm.
So it was our anniversary. And Paul just always loves taking the family everywhere. And so we did. He said, let's take the kids. Let's take the neighbor kid. So our usual thing is to stop at Bojo's on the way. So we get our pizza. And then
Bojo's is a famous Colorado mountain pizza. You put honey on the crust when you're done. It's delicious. Right. Yes.
Idaho Springs.
Mm-hmm. Idaho Springs.
So we go there, and I could not eat at all. And everyone thought, oh, Mom's got car sickness. Because I get car sickness. And going up that mountain ride, it's pretty windy.
Right.
So it would be pretty
typical,
right, typical for me to feel nauseous. And we all know how I feel about being nauseous. It's just not good. So I skipped dinner. Everybody ate. I smiled for pictures because it was my anniversary, mine and Paul's, and our 20th actually. So
it's a big one.
Yeah. So we get in the car and we all load up to go up the mountain, and my hands were white knuckled, holding on to my chair because I was in so much pain. And Paul said, we're almost there. We're almost there. And I'm like, as soon as we get there, all I need is, I just need to fall asleep and I'll wake up and feel all right. That's usually what happens. Because I've felt this pain now for 3 months. What did I call it?
Metamucil.
Yeah. Wasn't working. as I should say, and I never went back to the doctor. Soon as we got to the place where we were staying, Paul went in to go get the keys, and I ran out to the bathroom and threw up about 2 months worth of food. And I just couldn't stop. And it was horrible. And by the time we got into our room, I was throwing up all night until I was dry heaving and trying to fall asleep on the cold floor that felt good in the bathroom, the coldness. And Paul finally said, we can't do this anymore. We got to go to the hospital. And so the nearest hospital was like a half an hour away down some windy roads.
Was it Frisco? Is that where you guys went?
Yeah, I want to say it was Frisco. And I walked like a snail to the car. I was just in so much pain. And as soon as I got there, this was not a hospital for something for what I was sick for.
This is broken legs from skiing.
High altitude sickness. Yeah, that kind of hospital. But as soon as I got there, the doctor did a CAT scan, or I don't know what she did. And she probably shouldn't even have said this, but she did. She said, you have cancer right off the bat, and you need to go right now back to the hospital, back down the mountain. And Paul's freaking out and saying, well, we need to go back to the room and pack up and get our kids. And we have the neighbor kid there. And, it's bad enough we had to leave, good thing by then, Bella's 16.
Right.
The boys are, 12. And she said, you do what you got to do. But she's going in an ambulance back down the mountain. And mind you, our anniversary, we got married in February. This is going down a snow-packed, icy highway.
Right.
So we were going pretty slow.
If you've never driven I-70 in Colorado up to the mountains, it's scary in the summer.
Right.
I mean, it's steep, it's windy, it's truckers have escape ramps and all that. So in an ambulance in the winter is pretty treacherous.
Right.
So they took you.
Got that right. So they took me. And they gave me whatever morphine or whatever they could to just make me feel better. And I started feeling better. And I got to the hospital and I had emergency surgery to take out part of my colon, which is called a hemicolectomy. And by then, I didn't know this, but Paul had called our oldest daughter, Alex. By then, she's married. And P.S. married to Matthew Sanchez, who also goes, well, they met at Mosaic and
church,
sang on the worship team together. And by then, they were married and had a baby. So you're talking now, my daughter and her husband, her new baby, driving back getting on that mountain and driving up the highway to go be with my other daughter, Bella, that's 16, and my son.
Deal with the siblings and figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Paul had to get to the hospital with you. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So Paul's at the hospital with me, and Alex, I was there with the kids to try and keep them entertained.
Panicking and freaking out.
Yeah. And just kept them on the mountain skiing so that they weren't thinking, oh my gosh, what's mom going through? They didn't say, oh, mom's got cancer, she's going through, they didn't want to.
Said she's at the hospital. They're trying to figure out what's going on.
Right. She's just not feeling well.
That was the first introduction So, I've been a pastor 26 years, walked many people down that road of cancer. And that was the first introduction to it affects everybody. It affects the whole family. It's universal. It touches everybody that loves you, right? Yeah.
So, just trying to get my composure.
Yeah. We were there. I remember Paul called us and we came up, drove up. And Paul was typical Paul. I'm so sorry to bother you guys. First of all, you guys are our friends and you're part of our church and are like family. And I'm sorry to bother you, but so we came up, I remember, and you had your emergency surgery to kind of deal with the immediate threat of blocked digestive system, right? That was, that's very dangerous, obviously. So then.
And then what they do is they take out as many polyps as they can find.
Mm-hmm.
And then they biopsy them to find out how many of them are cancerous. And if there's a certain percentage, then that's how, I think that's kind of how they rate your stage.
Okay.
So they told me I was at stage 3, which is
pretty scary.
Yeah, pretty scary. I mean, stage 3, what happened? My whole life, what happened? And things got scary. And
you mean like what just happened? Like what's going on here? Like my whole life, I had a stomach ache, and you tell me I have stage 3.
Talk about when your whole life passes before your eyes. And then we ask, what do we do now? Obviously, we're gonna do chemotherapy.
Right, we're gonna treat this and fight this, and
yeah. So then we meet Dr. Kimmy. By now, we're at home, and Dr. Kimmy said we're gonna do chemotherapy. And so I'm on chemotherapy for 4 months. I had to go in and get an infusion every 3 weeks. And then I had to take an oral chemotherapy, 6 pills a day. And then it was better. 4 months later, I did a CAT scan and I was doing much better. And so I took the infusion out, the port out. I didn't have to take any more oral chemotherapy. And he said, you just have to keep coming in every couple of months and just to make sure everything's still good. And I went in.
So a port is, it's almost, they put this device in your main artery so they can administer medicine easy. Instead of finding a vein and poking it or whatever, it's kind of like a ready to use
needle. Yeah.
Place for the needle to go.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So all they do is it takes really 1 second to pop a needle.
Instead of finding a vein and all that. Yeah. Or putting an IV and whatever. Okay. Mm-hmm. So then every couple months you're going to come back and we're going to keep an eye on it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had faith that it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want it anymore.
Right.
So I told him, take the port out because I don't have cancer.
Mm.
They took the port out. And 2 months later, like I was supposed to go get my CAT scan, it came back and spread everywhere. And now I'm at stage 4.
Hmm.
So I went back to surgery, and they took out an ovary. They took out, I don't even know what some of these organs are called, but it's still sitting on about 4 or 5 organs right now. And the way they were going to go in and do surgery, and they cut me open, sliced me all the way open like a big open book, and did what they could, but couldn't do everything that they wanted to. So how I understood it was that it's not a mass. It's like a blanket of a covering of cancer sitting on several organs. So, and it's stuck there. So it's kind of like trying to take toilet paper off of duct tape. So you can't sit there and try and peel off, it's stuck.
Right.
And
if you get some of it off, it's still going to leave some. And if you are too aggressive, you could damage the organs.
Yeah. Some of those they can take out, some you can't. So I went back on another chemotherapy. And I've been on chemotherapy now. I've been fighting now for 3.5 years. And they keep talking about going and doing trials. And to me, I thought this was going to be, if I'm eligible for a trial, that's the miracle that's going to help me. And then I learned it's not, because all they're doing is trying something else. It's like going in and saying, Tylenol didn't work, let's try Advil. It's just not working.
They're not sure that the Advil is going to work, but they're like, let's try something.
Right. So now the treatment I'm on, I don't need my port, but of course I leave it there. I don't do an infusion. I have another type of chemotherapy. It's an oral one. So I take it. They just decreased it to 4 a day because I couldn't handle the 6 a day. So I'm doing 4 a day, 5 days in a row. Then I'm off 2 days. And then I'm on 5 days. And then I'm off 16 days. And then I just keep doing that. Right now I'm behind because the military sends I get free medical insurance with the military because I retired with the military, which is great. But this chemo has to come through a company called Express Scripts, and it goes through via the mail, the post office. My chemo goes through the post office.
Interesting.
And they had a double prescription, and so they canceled it. They meaning Express Scripts. And I don't know who doubled it or what happened, but I've made 4 calls now, and they said, we're going to resend it. We're going to use Federal Express.
Where are they at? Like, where's it coming from?
I don't remember.
So like if you just said, you know what?
I'll drive down there.
I'm just going to fly over there and pick it up.
Yeah.
You can't do that?
No. So I call and they send me to their pharmacist to talk to them. And they have no explanation. And
it's frustrating.
And I'm a pretty solid middle ground kind of gal. I don't get upset. So here's me calling and saying, look, I know it's not your fault. Whoever's answering the phone now, right now, it's not your fault. I'm not here to complain to you, but your company has really dropped the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not waiting for medicine because I have a sore throat.
Toothache, yeah.
And then I can feel myself getting angrier, and I don't like myself when I get mad. So I'm like, please just do what you can. And that's been by the fourth call, they say, yeah, it'll be there by the 11th. And now it's been over 2 weeks, so I'm behind in taking my medicine. So
still hasn't shown up.
No.
Come on, Express Scripts.
Yeah.
Get it together.
So I'm waiting on that, and it worries me, and it doesn't worry me, because either way, God has me, and He's had me all along.
So leads me to my next question. So I have two questions. One, what would you tell somebody who is in the hospital on that first day getting that news? Because it's a shock. That word is a shock. And then two, I want to talk about where you've seen God in the middle of all this. So,
okay.
First question. So you're standing next to Monica as she's laying in that bed hearing that news. Was the doctor, so she just kind of said it, right? Because she saw it, she knew what she was looking at, she said it. Was that, in hindsight, was she being compassionate? Was she being,
very.
So she was trying to be,
and she
but
needed
I appreciate
to know.
frankness in a moment like that too.
Yeah.
Like, tell me. I mean, so what are your?
Well, when she told me, I'm like right away upset at myself that I didn't go further to talk to my doctor. And then I was upset at the physician's assistant
For missing it or misdiagnosing.
Yeah. And then I was, it didn't take long for me to get out of that mindset, because I know we're all going to die. It's just part of living.
Right.
And I've had my faith pull me through so much. Being a single mom. Finding a good man. Passing a final in college. I would tell someone, you're going to make it through. But only if you have a God. You know, like something you had said one time, which was, even if there are people out there who don't believe in the Lord, and it's funny that it's those people who are in need or are at their bottom, that have hit their bottom, that they cry out for God.
Oh my God. A moment you're about to get in a car crash.
Yeah.
It's wired in us. Yeah.
So that's all you need. That's all you need.
So you would say, if you don't have a relationship with the Lord,
get
start
one.
there.
Get
start
one
there.
now.
Yeah.
It's not too late.
It's funny because sometimes people feel like, well, I'm going to be a hypocrite now because I've never really, followed God. But now that I need Him, and I heard someone say once, well, you sold the devil the meat and now you're giving God the bones. You know what I mean? There's that kind of that feeling of, well, of course, everyone turns to God in hospice or whatever, right? But I don't think God sees it that way. I know He doesn't.
No.
I know He's the Father looking for His lost children, wanting them to come home.
He wants that. He puts us in those positions to find Him. I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's an interesting way of saying it. He puts us in those positions. Do you think He
put me in that position?
It's a deep question right there.
I think He told me long ago that I needed discipline. And I think He, for some reason, thought that I'm the one who needed to experience this in my family to wake some other people up. I don't know. I'm not trying to be so righteous that I'm the best Christian.
I'll take it. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I've found myself to be a really tolerant person of many, many things. I wanted my dad so bad. They got divorced when I was 6, I think. And I wasn't going to do the same thing to my kids. And I believe that after learning about relationships, that if you want a relationship with someone, you're the one who has to go after it. You can't be mad at that other person for not initiating or reciprocating. It's up to you. So as a young girl learning how to go all over Denver, my dad would own a barbershop. And for some reason, I don't know if he didn't pay taxes or what happened. He owned a few different barbershops around Denver. So I would take the bus.
He was a survivor.
Yeah.
He figured it out. Figured out the system.
I would take the bus and go visit him. And he'd give me like $5 or something, but I didn't go for money.
Right. Just to spend time with him and see him.
Yeah. And I did it for years. Taking the bus, got my driver's license, drove over there and go have lunch. And I spent time with him. And I still prayed, even though I knew he was a Christian, because he still didn't, I wanted his forgiveness. I wanted him to ask me for forgiveness for leaving our family. And then I learned that I didn't need that. I just needed to forgive him. So I don't know how this twisted all the way to my dad, but I think
that's all right.
Forgiveness comes. That's where I started learning how to forgive.
I think the thread that connects it is peace. Is having peace, finding peace, being at peace. And there's 2 levels of that. One is with God, right? Obviously, we want to make peace with God. The other is with people. And it's easier to make peace with God, I think, because He doesn't hurt us, or He hasn't let us down, or in tangible ways, at least, we can really put our finger on sometimes. But with people, it's harder because they're here and we can see them. So I think that's the thread. You have peace with. There's something about being at peace, just setting it aside and saying we're good. I don't need anything from you. I'm not looking for anything. I don't.
I was once told by a a young girl that worked for me in the military. She said, if I ever get to the point where I'm on the ledge, literally wanting to take my own life, I want them to come find you to talk to me. Talk me off the ledge. And I didn't know what she meant by that, but I think every time someone's complaining, I'm always, what's the big deal? It's not a big deal. I'm tolerant, I guess.
Right.
You know? And so I think that maybe the Lord has me going through this.
It's resilience. It's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I already know each one of my kids and my husband and my mom and my family have I've had my own conversations with them about me and my illness. And I think that out of everybody, I'm glad it was me. And then your other question. Sorry, I went on and on.
So what would you tell someone? You would tell them, you need the Lord. You need God in your life. You don't try and do this without him. See, I think there's two. Our natural question is why? Why is this happening? Why me, right? But I think that's the wrong question. I think the right question is, what am I going to do now? Right? I mean, because we could go all and spin and chase our tail. Why do bad things happen? Why does God allow bad things? Why is there evil in the world? God must be evil. We can go like chase our tail. I think the real thing is, the question is, what am I going to do? And how am I going to handle this?
And that is the question. That is the question. I not once asked, why me? It was more like, thank you for it to be me and not someone, not my kids.
What do I do now?
What do I do now?
What do I believe? What's my worldview?
And I just keep telling the kids not to be mad at God.
It's these moments where you could say, God, I'm mad at you. I'm going to push you away. Or we could say, God, I'm going to run to you because you're the refuge. You're the eye of the storm. And that's the truth. The world is broken. That's not comforting, but it's true. The world is broken.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, the mortality rate is still 100%. We're all going to walk that road someday. What do I believe? What am I doing?
Right.
Am I ready? Am I ready to meet the Lord?
I ask myself that a lot, and I actually pray that I get to go. I treated my dad with so much love because I wanted him in my life. And I don't do the same for my own mom, who's alive and lives right down the block. And I pray that he gives me the words and the love and the kindness to give to my own mother. And I don't know why I don't. I get mad at God because I don't. I see the phone ring and I say a quick little prayer right before I answer.
We're all a work in progress, Monica. Give yourself some grace. We're all again, we're a work in progress. And
I hope so.
We are.
Well, let me tell you, the Lord has worked in my life. Your second question. The Lord has worked in my life. And when I retired, I noticed that they meaning the military, gave me VGLI, the Veterans Group Life Insurance. And I'm budget queen at home. So I was budgeting, and I'm like, why are they taking so much money out for life insurance? So I canceled it.
Mm-hmm.
The only life insurance I had.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you can get it back, you know?
Right.
So I prayed. I'm like, what am I going to do? And then I got this job that paid $17 an hour. And had a little life insurance, just a little. And then I have my kids, graduating from college. And then the son that I know is going to break the bank because I can't keep him away from, he's fascinating. He fascinates me at how smart he is and that how big of a challenge he wants for himself, and going to mines.
So if you're not from Colorado, School of Mines is where the smart kids go that none of us could ever hope to get into. It's an engineering school, very prestigious, very hard to get into. And Santi got in and is doing well. Smart kid.
Yeah. And Bella graduated from UNC. Alex graduated from CSU. And
also fine schools, not the School of Mines. I went to UNC. That tells you the level.
Hey, I went to UNC too.
2 Bears. Go Bears.
So I had a certain percentage of disability through the military, which gave me a certain amount of money monthly for the rest of my life. And I requested a larger percentage from the military for the illness that I have. But the burden was on me to prove that the military was the culpable party for me getting cancer.
Right.
That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. How am I supposed to prove that I got colon cancer after all the research I've done? I felt like I was back in college writing an 80-page paper, and I found out that the only 2 places that I went to out of the country had to be the reason why I got this. The only way I found that I got colon cancer was from an environmental hazardous junk in the air. So when I was in the Navy, I went to Japan for my 2 weeks a year. So every year I went to Japan, and my base was hovering. There was a incinerator, a local Japanese incinerator that had smoke hovering over our base for 10 years. So when you got to the base, you could smell it. And I thought it was like, just like Greeley,
Right, yeah.
It's like the cows or something,
Turns out it was carcinogenic.
Yes. And I researched everything. What were they burning? And it came down to rubber gloves, the kind that you have at the hospital.
They were burning that.
They were burning that along with other things. But the one thing that caused colon cancer, my specific one, were those gloves. So it was that. And it was when I went to Iraq. The base I was at in Balad housed the largest, oh my gosh, now I'm going to forget. Um, like, like junkyard.
Mhm.
It was like a 10-mile radius. I believe it was that big. It was pretty big.
Mhm.
And that's where it's right next to the base, and that's where they would throw old uniforms, limbs, um, just junk,
Human limbs.
human limbs. Yeah, from the war.
I have so many questions. Okay, keep going.
And
Enemy limbs, our limbs, just limbs that they.
just limbs.
Wow. Okay.
I've read and read and read about these places, and people that actually work there, throwing things in there, had to wear the whole chem gear.
Mm.
So that's telling you something.
Right. Yeah.
And they had the rubber gloves. So I had to prove.
They were incinerating that there also.
Yes.
Okay.
I had to prove to the VA specifically where, when, and where did I live? Did I live in the
So proximity to it, all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
in Japan and in Balad. So
So you feel like the Lord helped you do all that
yes.
investigative detective work to.
Yeah.
So that created an additional financial benefit for your family.
The VA gave me 100% disability.
Hmm.
And it doesn't stop there. I also got you get extra benefits if you have 100% disability.
Mm.
And I don't share this information to brag, but this is my testimony.
Right. Yeah. This is your story.
Yeah. They paid Bella some back pay as a dependent. They paid Santi some back pay as a dependent. They give Santi, because I was done with my GI Bill, so I couldn't give any to Santi. But they have this thing called DEA, Dependent Educational Assistance. So that's going to help pay for his tuition at Mines.
Mm.
And then Paul and I, because of the pandemic, so I can thank the pandemic for allowing us to take out some of our retirement without any penalties. And all 3 of my kids will be going to college without one loan.
Mm.
So I have that.
Yes.
Thank to God that he has, not only has he opened up, the purse for some money.
Mm-hmm.
It's helped my son go to school. My daughter finished her college. It's helped us pay our bills. And I helped people at the Guadalupe. I helped them fill out paperwork to get Social Security disability. Not thinking that I was going to be doing it for myself.
You're practicing.
So I didn't even think of that until one of my friends that I used to work with said, "Why aren't you applying?" And I'm like, "'Cause God's given me enough." But then I felt, that story where there's the guy on an island, and he's deserted there, and someone comes to in a boat saying, "Hey,
Right,
jump
yeah,
in,"
yeah.
right? And
Helicopter and
Yeah.
God, why didn't you rescue me? Yeah.
he's like, "I've been trying to rescue
Yeah,
you."
I sent you a
know?
boat and a helicopter and a ship. And
So I figured the Lord's not done helping me, so I applied for disability through my Social Security, and they said, you do know, it takes some time, just like the VA. It takes years for you to get disability
Right.
through the VA. It took me less than a year,
Hmm.
and it took me, and they reject you over and over and over, and they rejected me twice through the VA, and that third time was third time's a charm, right? So, and then with the Social Security disability, they said if you have a disability that's life or death, then you need to call us and apply that way. You can't come down because of the pandemic and everything. So I called, and I want to say like 2 weeks later, the money was in the bank.
Holy smokes. Shout out to Social Security. Yeah.
And I've had back pay, lots and lots of back pay from the VA and from Social Security disability. That helped in every aspect of getting Santi started at school and paying our bills. But those are the miracles that I've been given, and that's my story.
Thank you, Monica. With that, thank you for sitting across and sharing your story. You are.
Thank you.
I know people tell you you're so brave and you're so strong, and I know you don't like to hear that. Look at you rolling your eyes right now, but you are. You inspire lots and lots of people around you. So many folks love you, care about your family.
I appreciate it very much. Appreciate you guys very much.
Thank you all for joining us today. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.